All right, we're back on the record. Before I ask the defendant what exhibits he's offering in evidence, I'm going to remind the parties, Joint Exhibit 1 was offered and admitted, but I wonder whether it's been prepared yet. This is the timeline in color of the various radio broadcasts in the 5 different districts.
Yes, Judge. It was prepared at that time, and it's been here. I don't know exactly where it's at, but it's all prepared.
So it's close. Okay.
Yes.
All right, so who's going to do the exhibits?
Ms. Surratt.
Ms. Surratt, is the defendant offering any exhibits in evidence?
Yes, Your Honor, and just for the record, defendant's Exhibit G was Joint Exhibit 1. Those were Hummel's texts. Joint Exhibit 2 and 3 were defendant's Exhibit L, which was the BCI chase timeline, and I believe what you just discussed would have been Joint Exhibit 3, the color version of that.
According to my notes, Exhibit 1209 from the plaintiff are Hummel's texts. Well, I don't think this relates, but 1243 was the disciplinary letter that was admitted over objection. But Joint Exhibit 1 was a timeline. The timeline of the breaking out the radio calls by district.
Okay, then the defendant would move to admit with no objection from the state Exhibits A through E.
Okay.
Exhibit G.
Yep.
Exhibit I through N. Exhibits R through W.
Right.
Exhibits Y through AAA.
Right.
And exhibits CCC through D.
Can you say?
CCC and DDD?
Yes, Your Honor.
Who's doing exhibits for the state?
I will, Judge, but I was not able to follow.
Well, how about this? I'll remind you of them. Let me ask you this. Do you have any objections to A through E inclusive?
No, Judge.
Do you have an objection to G?
No, Judge.
Objection to I through the end of the alphabet, Z, and then AA through NN, the second time halfway through the alphabet, inclusive.
I through C. None, Your Honor.
And then AA through NN.
Do we have a moment, Your Honor?
Sure, although this is what I was trying to avoid.
Yes, Judge. I know. Yeah, go through and then, yes.
Oh, no objections to those?
That's correct.
Okay, how about double R through WW inclusive?
Yeah, we need to move to exclude RR and SS.
How about double T, W, double V, and double W?
Those are some screenshots. We would object to those, Your Honor, that you're showing.
So you object to all of RR through WW?
Yes.
I'll rule in a moment. I just want to make sure I know what you're objecting to. How about the end of the second alphabet, YY and ZZ?
We need to go XX.
Oh, no, I guess there isn't. They're not offering double X.
Okay.
Just double Y and double Z.
No objection.
And then how about triple A?
No objection.
Okay, now how about triple C and triple D?
So object to triple C, Your Honor.
And then how about triple D?
No problem, Your Honor. No objection.
Okay, so A through E inclusive, G, I through the end of the first alphabet, Z inclusive, and then the start of the second alphabet, AA through NN inclusive, are admitted without objection. The end of the double alphabet, YY and ZZ, are both admitted without objection. AAA is admitted without objection. DDD is admitted without objection. Before we handle the objections, were there others, Ms. Surratt, that you're pretty sure they're going to object to?
No, Your Honor.
So that is all you're offering?
Yes.
Okay. RR is what, Ms. Surratt?
RR is Dr. Martinelli's report dated January 7th, 2015.
And on what basis should that come in?
Your Honor, all of the other expert reports other than Martinelli and Douglas Johnson are the ones that they are now objecting to. So in the matter of conclusive into what they testified to, and they were also identified by the experts on the record, that's why we're moving to admit them.
Well,
And they just stated on the record, we offered to not introduce any expert reports, and they just stated out in the hallway that they would not be objecting. So that's why we moved to introduce all of our expert reports.
okay, so I'm getting a little bit confused here. RR is Martinelli's narrative report.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And you object to that, right, Mr. Bell?
Yeah, yes.
Let's try to keep the voices to one or two.
Yes, sir.
All right, so it's hearsay, it's also redundant, that objection is sustained. SS is what?
Dr. Martinelli's secondary report dated March 17th, 2015.
Object, Mr. Bell?
Yes, Judge.
Sustained. TT.
TT is Officer Hummel's screenshot that we displayed that Mr. Martinelli identified throughout his, it's very identical to the screenshot that they have continuously been using that was taken during this trial.
This is the one where he was giving a videotape statement and he mimicked what he thought the passenger was doing?
Yes, Your Honor. And it is from the BCI report.
The basis of the objection is, Mr. Bell?
First of all, Your Honor, he just identified it as to something that was in a video that he reviewed. All in total, these just support his report that he made. Fairchild, Gonzalez, as well as Mathis, under the next exhibits, none of that testified, Your Honor. So, in total, the state's objection is to the screenshots. It
is, to my mind, Ms. Surratt, extrinsic evidence of a prior consistent statement. The reason you're saying it should get in is Martinelli used it?
It was an observation that Martinelli made. It's not hearsay because it's not going to prove the truth of the matter asserted. It's an observation that he made of those officers during their statements.
Yeah, I don't look at it as hearsay. As I said, I think it's more along the lines of extrinsic evidence of a prior consistent statement. As I recall, and I'd have to find a particular point in my notes, when Hummel was testifying, and my memory here is faulty, but when somebody was testifying, possibly Hummel, Ms. Royster asked them to concede that they had observed the passenger holding their hands in what might be called a position of surrender. Hummel may have even demonstrated from the stand his hands apart in something closer to a position of surrender, or indicating the person was not a threat. And then he or the witness, whoever it was cross-examined using the portion of Hummel's videotape statement where he mimicked something other than a position of surrender. In any event, it didn't need to be that verbose, and I apologize. UU, VV, and WW are the three others. One of these was Gonzalez, one Fairchild, and the other, who else?
The last is Varga Mathis.
Who?
Officer Varga Mathis, M-A-T-H-I-S.
And the objections to double U, double V, and then two W's are basically the same, Mr. Bell? I gather.
That's correct, Your Honor, but even further on VV and WW, those two did not testify.
Yeah, double T through two W's, inclusive, those four exhibits, the objections are sustained. Do you rest, Ms. Surratt?
I think there was one more objection to triple C.
Thank you, you're right. I don't know what triple C is.
It is Dr. Douglas Johnson's report, same issues as presented before.
Object, I gather, Mr. Bell? Actually, he's already said objection, and the objection sustained.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now do you rest, Ms. Surratt?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have anything else from the defense? Ms. Surratt or one of the lawyers?
Judge, at some point we're going to have an additional motion for Rule 29B. I didn't know, we talked
Okay.
earlier with the time constraints.
No, I know. I just want to make it up right.
We would preserve the right to, at the courts, the next time we convene, to argue over Rule 29B.
Right. So what you're saying is you do have a motion for an acquittal, and what I would say is, I recognize and acknowledge that I cannot hear it today, so the next time we go on the record, it will be, to hear the motion for an acquittal, and for now, then, we are off the record. When do you want to do it? Tomorrow at 1 or something?
That's fine, Your Honor.
I think, let's assume for the moment, and maybe we should do this part on the record. So Rob, let's go back on. So I cannot hear and certainly decide the motion that has been mentioned by the defense today because of another commitment. Let us assume, however, that it is denied. If it's granted, we're done, or at least partially done. If it is denied, do you expect any additional rebuttal evidence, Mr. Bell?
That is a very good possibility.
All right.
Very brief, if we did, Your Honor.
Is this a person who is relatively available, they're more or less flexible, or somebody from out of town like some of these others?
It would be Castaris again, but perhaps he has some family issues going on, but it might be by videotape. It would be on one subject, basically only.
So,
But
well,
we haven't made any firm decision on it. We're going to notify them the minute we do. We haven't yet to talk to him again about it.
yeah, I don't want to get into whether you object or whether it's proper rebuttal or not. I just want to, I ask this only for
If we
schedule.
did, it would be minutes, because this is rebuttal, and we would expect this type of rebuttal will go right to a single question, subject, and that would be it.
All right, so, well, now we can go off the record for the day.
But one other thing, Your Honor, we might offer some additional exhibits, just to close the exhibit matter out.
Well, that would be your rebuttal, though, right?
No, well, okay, we could do it now or then,
You're
whenever.
talking about rebuttal exhibits. We should probably do that after.
Okay, technically that's a better time.
Right, and then in the meantime, show them to the other side. Maybe they don't object. I don't know.
Okay.
Do you expect sort of a similar length and nature of argument as the last motion? Or is it?
10, 15 minutes.
All right. Well, why don't we do it tomorrow afternoon, and if I can rule on it right away, I will, and then we can get into the question of rebuttal. So I would have, you think Katsaris, if he's going to come in, let me ask you this, putting aside any objection to his proffered rebuttal period, if he's allowed to do it, do you have a problem with him doing it by video conference?
No, sir.
All right. So I would have him, if he's in the state, either have him here just in case, or have him available by video tomorrow afternoon. I don't know the exact time, but within some reasonable limit. And, but I can't guarantee I will decide this motion pronto. On another subject of scheduling, I'm going to be out of town on a Wednesday and Thursday. I guess I envision, assuming again that the motion that's about to be made, or that has been made and will be presented, is denied, I envision having a closing arguments on Tuesday. Does that present a problem with any of the state's schedules?
Monday or Tuesday is fine with us, right?
How about the defense?
It's fine, Ron.
All right, so let's plan on closing for Tuesday, beginning at 9 in the morning. Your only restrictions on time are going to be a rule of reason. And as I said, you're welcome, both sides, to have more than one lawyer argue. I don't care about that. If one side or the other has an objection to that, you can interpose it at the time. I expect that I'm going to deliver a written verdict. I will do, if some part of it, if not all, in open court. But the point being, I don't know that I would be done on Friday or so of next week. So this, I guess, is going to present the greatest problem for you, since, as I understand, you have feet in 2 states at this point. The point being, I cannot tell you when I'm going to deliver a verdict. I can kind of keep you posted if I'm close, but I wouldn't expect one by the end of next week, just so you know. And I think, again, this is assuming the motion is denied. I don't know its merits. Any other sort of administrative or related matter that we should be discussing, as long as we're here today?
No, Your Honor, nothing for mistake.
The final thing I'm going to ask is, Ms. Barnhill, were you able to cobble together either a disk or a jump drive?
Can I get that to the court tomorrow?
Yeah, and you might want to either include theirs or ask Ms. Surratt to prepare one of her own.
Very good, Your Honor. I was just unprepared to have that all completely organized, ready to present to the court.
And then, Rob, what should we do? I'm going to deliberate off of copies of the exhibits. What should be done with all of the actual exhibits? Tangible items like guns, I think I'm going to ask the state to keep those. But how about paper?
We only keep paper.
Okay. So I guess all paper exhibits should be left with the court reporter, and I don't think it has to be done at this moment, but organizing. And is the defense going to object to the state holding on to the guns, the coats, the mannequins? I don't think are exhibits, but the other things that are non-paper tangible items. And I might want to look at some of the clothes during deliberations. If so, are you going to object to me calling them and say, hey, can I see those shirts?
We can leave them in the closet there, right?
Oh, okay. Is there any other big stuff besides the guns and the? Candidly, I've seen enough of the guns. If I need them during deliberations, I'll ask you for
I
one
think
or
we
two.
did mark the mannequins, right?
Were they admitted?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Are they also, okay.
Yeah.
Resting in the back.
I thought you were going to say resting in and use some other word. Anyway, I was going to ask you guys, anything from the defense by way of administrative or miscellaneous?
First of all, don't worry about me and my travels, so do what you feel is appropriate relative to time. The other thing was the parties had agreed, and I think you were entertaining going out to the scene at night with 2 cars with the overhead lights on. Is that still?
Yeah, because of my familial circumstances this week, I cannot do it until Monday. I suppose we could do it Monday night.
We don't need to be there.
We don't need to be there.
But you wanted to simulate some,
No, you've been there, Your Honor.
Police
You
cars.
saw the view, you know, generally from the photographs, general location where the cars were. Just, if you're there at dark, when it's dark, just have them put the lights on, and we don't need to be there for that.
Well, have them put the lights on. If I went there, I'd probably just drive up there.
We could ask the sheriff, I could ask the sheriff to send a couple cars out. He already, Sheriff Pinckney's going to be happy to cooperate. Now, they're slightly different than CPD lights, I'm told, you know, than flashing lights, but they're pretty similar.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody knows it's not going to be
Corporation makes them or something.
exactly recreated. Well, here's what I'll do then. I will,
Madam Chair, might be able to help you.
I would be happy to ask, and I think I'm sure Clayton will cooperate if you want to play the cards, it'd be fine.
yeah, I would probably just take a ride out with either myself and meet the sheriff there or with the
Well, we
sheriff.
would ask the court to go with the sheriff, and just makes sense. Some deputy to take you out there. But we don't need, the state doesn't need to be there. Apparently the defense feels the same. You stay there as long as you feel,
In fact,
so you feel comfortable about it.
I'll talk to one of the sheriffs.
What do you want to do?
I'll tell you this, I will probably do it. If I don't, the thing that would get in the way, if anything, is whatever I might have scheduled personally for next week. So, as of right now, I will commit to doing it. If I reverse on that commitment, I'll let you know as soon as.
Or during your deliberations after final argument would be fine too. I mean, that doesn't make any difference. If you did it after our final argument, during your deliberation, just the judge.
Well, if I'm going to do it, it's going to be.
We want you to do it, Judge, so whenever you do it, you do it. We just, if you're not going to do it, if you could let us know, but, and then Mr. Mack was going to suggest that possible more than 2 cars, because there were more than 2 cars on the scene, but if that's the best we can do.
We'll get as many as we can. We can't get a dozen, I don't think. It'd be impractical, but, you know, and there were probably a dozen there in the vicinity, if you count the streets and the hill. But, you know, is 4 a good number?
102.
6 is good. 62.
I can take sheriffs, I can get the sheriffs to give overtime to send up there. I don't know if I can ask the city to take cars off the street and send up there as easily as I can ask the sheriff. But I'll certainly do whatever.
Well, why don't you ask the sheriff, let him know, and have him send me a contact, and I'll then deal with them.
Okay, great. Then you
But
can deal with
as
that
long as I can
directly.
do it.
Fine.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.